The new cruise ships out there get all the attention, but there's a really good reason you shouldn't avoid older and smaller cruise ships, and I've got the answer up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. If you've been watching our channel over the last couple of months, you've seen a lot of exciting information about Wonder of the Seas, Odyssey of the Seas, even hints at the upcoming Icon of the Seas. And anytime there's a new cruise ship, it gets everybody's attention for good reason, because new cruise ships are just exciting, latest and greatest. It's hard to overlook that. But you shouldn't overlook older and smaller cruise ships because they're still a great choice. If you see a Royal Caribbean television commercial today, it probably shows off this new amazing things you can do on one of these new ships. And while they are amazing, older ships in the fleet still offer a great choice for a cruise vacation. Now, Royal Caribbean has at any given time somewhere between 26, 27 cruise ships in its fleet. And while new cruise ships will always get the most attention, and to be perfectly honest with you, I'll focus a lot of that here on our channel, the reality is there are some really important reasons to not skip out on older and smaller cruise ships. First and foremost, let's talk upgrades. Just because you don't book the newest cruise ship does not mean you have to compromise on what there is to do on board. Royal Caribbean recognizes that a lot of cruisers look for the fun new activities and things to do on a cruise ship. And if a certain feature or activity does really well on one ship, it makes a lot of sense for Royal Caribbean to add that to other ships. Over the years, Royal Caribbean has systematically upgraded and enhanced their older ships with new features, including water slides, new restaurants, escape rooms, and more. Even ships that are 15 to 20 years old offer many more things to do than when those vessels first entered service. A smaller ship does not mean there's nothing to do or it's going to feel dated. Royal Caribbean does a fantastic job at maintaining their cruise ships and keeping them relevant. Now let's talk about where you can go on these ships, because if you ever wanted to cruise some of the more distant ports of call, you're probably going to need to do that on a smaller cruise ship. Certain itineraries are always going to be relegated to smaller cruise ships, and being able to visit far off ports of call that are just not another cruise port is something you can't do on the big ships. Cruises to places like Venice, Key West, Iceland, Bora Bora, and others are usually only serviced by smaller cruise ships. And also, when you're on board these older ships, there's a different pace when you're on there, because new cruise ships are packed with so many things to do. It can often lead to FOMO, really, fear of missing out, and that can lead to a faster pace of cruising in order to work it all in. I think when you're on a new ship, a lot of people just feel like, I got to go do all these things Matt talked about in these videos. But older ships still have plenty of luster to them, but you will not feel like you're missing out on as many signature activities if you decide to sleep in, or spend the day at the pool, or just maybe read a good book. Smaller cruise ships offer a more classic cruise experience, is the best way to describe it, which means it's less about going from one whiz-bang feature to another. Rather, you feel more at liberty to do a more relaxing and enjoying time at the pool deck and enjoying the cruise ship atmosphere. And as I talked about earlier, don't confuse a relaxing pace with nothing to do. Those upgrades over the years that I talked about earlier still offer plenty to do after you finish your afternoon nap. Next up is it's easier actually to get a better price on one of these older, smaller ships. New cruise ships attract so much attention that their sailings tend to sell out much faster than the older ships. So if you're looking to book a cruise at the last minute, and when I say last minute, I'm talking about probably less than 120 to 90 days before sailing, you're going to find better prices and options with older cruise ships. Essentially, anyone in the market for a last-minute cruise is likely to find a great stateroom on older ships simply because they don't sell out as quickly as the new ones. And speaking of pricing, well, generally speaking, you're going to pay a lower price on an older, smaller ship. Newer ships come with a premium price tag, but you will find fantastic values with the older ships. Sometimes the rates are between 30 and 40% cheaper than the new bills, depending, of course, on the itinerary and the season you're looking to cruise on. Similar to how a used car is sold at a significant savings compared to a new car, new cruise ships command the higher prices, and every new ship that joins the fleet tends to drive down the price of existing ships. If you look at the price per night of a new ship versus an older ship, it's usually significant. Moreover, these savings can mean moving up to a higher stateroom category. Instead of a balcony on an Oasis class ship, maybe you can afford a suite on a Voyager class ship. And I'm going to take this one step further. Within each class, you can find this phenomenon occurring. Even if you're looking at an Oasis class, Wonder of the Seas, the newest Oasis class cruise ship at the time of this video's posting, is going to command the highest premium pricing. But if you compare Wonder of the Seas prices to Harmony of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, or Oasis of the Seas, you're going to see significant price changes for the same week. And the reason is Wonder of the Seas is the latest and greatest new hotness. It's going to command the highest prices. And as you start going down to the older ships in the Oasis class, still Oasis class ships with amazing activities to do, you're going to find better prices as you go to the older ships. You're not missing anything. It's just the reality of going on an older ship. So, should you do an old ship or a new ship? Of course, everybody watching this video now is thinking to themselves, should I go on maybe Adventure of the Seas or Liberty of the Seas instead of that Wonder or Odyssey of the Seas? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with sailing on one of the newer ships in the fleet. They're amazing, in fact, and I love going on them. But consider every class in the fleet for your next Royal Caribbean cruise. You should not disregard a certain cruise ship simply because of its size or age. New ships are often larger and offer so many things to do, but they can also be expensive and not nearly as intimate an experience as some of the older, smaller ships in the fleet. I think something else you have to remember about older ships is where we are here in 2022 versus where we were maybe 20 years ago. And what I mean by that is when I first started covering the cruise industry, I found that older ships really talked about ships that were, 20 years old or older, and that was really looked at in a very different light than a ship that is 20 years old or older now. Cruise lines have done a lot of work to maintain older vessels, whereas in the past, a 20-plus-year-old ship would probably be on its way out of a particular fleet. Nowadays, it's really just hitting its prime time because maintenance, upgrades, and enhancements have really helped with that kind of thing. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, if you remember what it was like, a couple decades ago, well, things have changed quite a bit. Older ships are not forgotten by the cruise line, and they're outfitted with modern amenities and popular attractions to keep them relevant. So if you've only cruised on the newest and biggest ships out there, trying a Radiance or Voyager class ship means you can experience something brand new. The value these older ships provide makes them a compelling choice for really just about anybody. So let me know in the comments below, what's your favorite older ship? And when I say older ship, I'm going to say any ship that's not a Quantum or Oasis class ship. Let me know in the comments your favorites there, because you can find some tremendous values and price savings that maybe allow you to go on more than one cruise in a year, or maybe book a stateroom upgrade, or just leave more cash in your pocket at the end of the day. That's not bad at all. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that. Also, hit that like button. It really helps us out if you hit that like button with the YouTube algorithm. I would appreciate that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications. That's that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That way, YouTube lets you know when we have a brand new video to share. No cost to subscribe. It's free to you. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.